Good morning, everyone. So I'll be presenting my research, African Women in the Quest of Reimagining Feminist Philosophy, Centering Indigenous Ethics and Epistemology. Now, the question of reimagining feminist philosophy presents a valuable opportunity to ensure that the lived experiences of African women are fully recognized, understood, and captured in Western philosophical framework. The dominance of Western philosophical framework has often sidelined the unique experiences of African women. And so this calls for a reimagining of African philosophy. Now, the arguments of feminist philosophers in the West do not encompass the concerns of African feminists. And the oppression of African women stems from deeper structural issues that is beyond reason or emotion that is often highlighted in Western feminist critiques. In African philosophic thoughts and reflection in traditional and contemporary African life, the lived experiences of African women, both on the continent and in the diaspora, need to be captured so that we can also have our voices well understood and raised in African philosophy. African philosophy encompasses our proverbs, our folklores, our sayings, indigenous songs, our customs, our traditions. But this is not captured in the Western paradigm. And so there is a need for us to include all of this in African philosophy. Not just inclusion, but making women in African philosophy, women that do African philosophy, recognized, and all their scholarly works should be well articulated. By drawing upon these rich traditions, African feminist philosophy critiques the hegemony of Western-centric paradigms and reimagines feminist thought from an African perspective. Now, we look at indigenous African ethics and epistemologies. What is actually particular to Africa in the context of African feminist philosophy? Indigenous African ethics and epistemologies such as communal care, relationality, and interconnected of life offer transformative perspectives that challenges individualism of Western feminist thought. You know, as African women, we live in a communal setting, and that guides our thinking, guides how we do our things. We believe that all of us live together, nobody can live in isolation. We need one another. And these are our guiding principles. Of course, we remember our Ubuntu philosophy. I am, because we are. That is our guiding principle in Africa. And this guides us in our moral activities. It guides our ethics. It's our values, our practices are rooted in our traditions and cultures and worldviews of African communities. And so these ethical principles prioritizes our communal living, our respect for human dignity, interdependence, and harmonious interactions between individuals and community. In philosophy, ethics examines morality, the principles that is guiding human conduct within the society. I'd love to give you an example of our Ubuntu, which guides our humanity and compassion in relationships. Ubuntu is a normative theory, of course, it's not new to us, that defines morality in terms of what constitutes or enhances common good. And so in the light of this theory, the individual matters, but they still locate their value within the common good of the community. We also have the Omoluabi concept in Southwest Nigeria, a person of good character that exhibits respect, honesty, and responsibility. These frameworks align with the broader understanding of the Western ethics, which refers to approaches to moral life, emphasizing virtues, practices, and knowledge associated with appropriate care for oneself. Now, the concept of Omoluabi stems from the belief that a person has to exhibit certain behavioral traits to qualify as responsible or reputable in the society. And we see that in African traditions, the binary of caregiver and recipient gives a holistic system and collective responsibility of everyone in the society. It is clearly spelled out in Yoruba proverbs that says, "Agbajowo la fi soya, ẹnìkan kì í jáwádé," and so on and so forth. That is to say that there's a communal kind of, there's a communal living that we exhibit in Africa. And all of this must be captured in African philosophy. Then we also talk about proverbs. We talk about folklores and oral traditions that are passed down from one generation to another. All of this, we cannot rule out that women have not, in one way or the other, contributed in passing down our philosophy. Now, African feminist philosophy actively explores the connections between gender, culture, and philosophy in order to develop innovative feminist frameworks that effectively tackle both local and global challenges encountered by African women. When we leverage indigenous knowledge systems, African women have formulated empowering strategies and resistance that highlight the importance of community solidarity and the preservation of cultural heritage. Oral storytelling, for example, plays a vital role in indigenous knowledge system, effectively conveying values such as endurance, hope, and collective action. This perspective offers a valuable critique of Western narratives that focus on individual perseverance, encouraging a broader understanding of resilience that emphasizes community and shared responsibility. Another feature of African feminist philosophy is interconnectedness and spirituality. African indigenous epistemologies emphasize profound interconnectedness of all humans, animals, and spiritual realms. Because even in Africa, we believe that there is a relationship between humans and animals. That's why you see that when in Africa, for example, in Yoruba setting, people believe that animals like goats somehow are connected. I mean, they can hear us, and then we treat them well. That's why some people name their animals, or they can give them names, that depict what they actually feel at that time. So this perspective offers a valuable challenge to the dualistic thinking often found in Western philosophy, and helps us to adopt a more holistic approach to feminist ethics. For instance, the Igbo concept of umuna illustrates the vital role of family and community ties, highlighting the importance of collective responsibility and mutual support. So what are we saying in essence? We are saying that when the Western feminist philosophy is actually tilting towards individualism. African feminist thought often integrates human existence and ethical responsibilities in our ideals. The predominance of Western frameworks in feminist philosophy has been criticized for its universalization tendencies. Scholars such as Mohanty and Gayatri Chakravorty have highlighted these frameworks and often homogenize women's experiences, ignoring the cultural and historical specificities of women in the global south.
Sorry, Mrs. Akanni. Hello?
Yes.
Mrs. Akanni, I'm sorry, please, you are having another device there that is giving echoes to what you're saying. So I think you should mute your other device that you... No, we can't hear properly. Everything you say echoes, and the echo is so much. Maybe you're having another device nearby. You should mute it. Thank you.
Just a minute, please. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, please, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Okay, so I'm looking at critiquing Western frameworks.
Change the orientation of your camera. Yes, good.
Can you hear me now, Ma?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay.
Yes,
now
it's better.
I was on critiquing Western frameworks and the emergence of African feminist philosophy. The predominance of Western frameworks in feminist philosophy, I said, have been criticized because women felt that they were not fully captured, especially women from the global south, were not captured in Western feminist philosophy. For African women, this has erased their unique philosophical contributions and ethical perspectives. African feminist philosophy emerges as a critical response to the limitations of Western feminist framework. And we see that scholars like Oyewumi, Olaronke, and Nkiru Zegu argue that African women's experiences are deeply rooted in communal and relational concepts. I think I've explained that, which challenge the individualistic assumptions of Western feminism, the Ubuntu and the Omoluabi, as I have rightly explained. Now, what are the implications of African feminist philosophy and for feminist discourse? The contributions of African women to feminist philosophy have significant implications for scholars, activists, and policymakers. But for grounding indigenous ethics and epistemology, this challenges the dominance of Western paradigms and promotes a more inclusive feminist discourse. This has practical implications for addressing gender-based inequalities. The contributions of African women feminist philosophy, fosters gender-based inequality. Fosters community resilience and promoting cultural preservation. Moreover, African feminist philosophy offers valuable insights for addressing global challenges, climate change, food insecurity, and health disparities. When we emphasize interconnectedness and communal care in Africa, these philosophies provide ethical framework that prioritizes collective well-being and sustainability in Africa. Africa women's voices play a vital role in reimagining feminist philosophy, highlighting the need for a constructive reevaluation of global feminist canon. This process encourages us to challenge existing epistemological hierarchies that prioritizes Western framework. We cannot use Western framework for us in Africa because we have our own indigenous experiences, we have our own indigenous knowledge and experiences. By offering valuable insights into this, African women's philosophies enriches and transforms feminist thought in meaningful ways. And this transformation offers an opportunity to redefine key feminist concepts like agency, like our autonomy, like equality in the context of communal relationships and cultural practices. African feminist thought enriches these ideas by highlighting the importance of collective care and interconnectedness, paving the way for a more inclusive and culturally relevant approach to feminist philosophy. Through their contributions, African women challenge the dominance of Western-centric ideas and enrich global feminist canon with alternative approaches that is rooted in shared values and resistance. When we center indigenous ethics and epistemology, it underscores the significance of cultural and ethical diversity in feminist thought. Such integration not only broadens the scope of feminist philosophy, but also enriches its relevance in addressing global issues for a more inclusive and interconnected perspectives. Thank you very much.